Welcome back to the Huntech Pro Podcast with me, Johan Smit, as your host. We want to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor today, My Trophy Room. Preserve your proudest moments with the app's seamless photo features designed to display your hunting trophies like never before. Download My Trophy Room from Google Play or Apple App Store. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on social media under Huntech Pro. Whether you're a seasoned hunter, an inspiring outdoor enthusiast, or someone who simply loves the thrill of adventure, you're in the right place. Join us as we bring you exciting stories from the wild, expert insights into hunting and shooting gear, and a front row seat to some of the most exhilarating hunts around the globe. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready to immerse yourself into the world of Huntech Pro, where every hunt has a story, and every story is worth sharing. Let's get started. So guys, today I've got the privilege of sharing this podcast episode with one of my friends who I met back in 2022 when he came to hunt in South Africa. The guy I'm talking about is Jason Rupczyk. Jason, my friend, thanks for joining me on today's episode, man.
Hey, glad to be here, buddy. It's going to be an awesome episode. Can't wait to have some fun with you today. Let's get to it, buddy.
But it sounds good. You know, it's like I said, back in 22 when we met, was it the first or the second? I can't remember. We got to spin in the blind together. And since that day, you know, we were hooked. We were buddies for life.
It was, you know, I remember, I think it was the second day. And I remember it started out early because we were tracking another animal that somebody had shot. And I think you were the one that actually said, Jay, I want to hunt with you today. Let's go do a hunt. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go. All right. And I tell you something, but that day was just phenomenal. When you go from having somebody professionally film you to harvesting animals while you're in the hide with somebody that, you know, for the first time ever in Africa, man, it was incredible. It was just incredible. I look at it all the time and just admire the fact that, you know, I got to spend time with you and know who you are while we were sitting in the blind. That was probably one of the coolest things besides shooting the animals was actually just getting to know you. You were honestly the first person that I ever had a conversation with that lived in Africa.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it was cool to get a little bit of the backstory with you and Huntech Pro, and it was awesome sitting to hide with you and just learn about who you were, and the stories that we came up with you know how you met Beulah and how you started Huntech, and no, it was awesome. And you know, shooting the animals while we were together, just cherry on top, you know.
Yeah, I remember. We referred out to us as the A-team because, I mean, you tagged out within an hour or hour and a half. It was crazy.
That day, like we hunted we were there for a week. And that day that I was with you was probably one of the slowest days we saw animals, but was the most impactful day as far as like us harvesting animals.
Oh, yeah.
Like other days, I would see a lot of animals, but I never shot one. It was just, and with you, it was like the right animals came in.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot, but the right ones came in. And yeah, it was something truly to behold. Like that warthog that I had shot was actually the first warthog that I had seen on our trip. By far, it was the first warthog. And I didn't know anything about it. I just knew they were it was a warthog. And when they came in and turned and walked off, and I'm looking at you like, uh-oh, like, did I do something wrong? Did I screw something up? You know, because I didn't know. And, you know, it wasn't 2 minutes later and he come right back. And I mean, I remember you telling me right corner of the neck. And it was, oh, dude, I put one of the most epic shots on an animal that I've ever put on an animal in my life. And I got and, you know, to experience it with you was just, it was incredible. It was utterly incredible.
Now, what was awesome about that, man, is what gives me the joy is when a hunter listens to where I ask him to put the shot, because it feels like I'm taking that shot. And when I told you just to put that shot right in between the ears, you buried that arrow in that warthog. Man, it was an awesome shot.
It was actually funny because up to that point, I remember texting you and um and video chatting with you well before I ever went to Africa, saying, "Oh, Johan, I'm shooting at 30 yards and I'm pinning it, pinning it, pinning it." And you gave me the confidence to say, "Okay, Jay, you know, keep practicing. We want you dialed in 100% when you come here because the shot opportunities you get there, you don't know what kind of angles they're at, and you really did. You gave me the confidence to know that when that warthog was the angle he was when he was facing at me, that I had the confidence to put it right where you wanted me to put it. It I did.
But that's so awesome to hear, and it gives me also way more confidence knowing that you ask for my advice and you listen to the advice I give you. So when you do come into that situation, you know that the equipment is ready. You know the hunter is ready. Now it's just to pull off the shot and see what's going to happen. And like you explained, everything happened perfectly that day. That warthog came in perfect. I think he got spooked. I remember that shooting hole was very big, so he might have saw some movement. But I knew he was thirsty. He circled back around, but then I knew he was going to come walking in straight towards us. And that's actually where I knew if he's going to do that, you put on a fixed broadhead. It's not a mechanical broadhead. If we were shooting with a mechanical broadhead, I wouldn't have told you to take that shot. But because you're shooting with a fixed blade and your arrow was weighing more than 550 grains, I knew if you're going to put that shot there, it's going to penetrate. And it worked out so perfect.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, that was probably, like I said, probably the best shot I've ever taken on an animal. I mean, it was beautiful. And like you said earlier, that we literally waited for the trackers to get there. I remember getting nervous because me and you were standing in the road and they're walking up and down the road and they can't tell where this warthog went. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, come on. And I tell people to this day, it was like watching, it was almost like watching bloodhounds on a track. It was so like one thing that I wish I would have I captured was these trackers and the way they were meticulous about going up and down that road and finding where this warthog went. That's something that a lot of people who've never been like to Africa don't get to experience. I'm telling you, watching those trackers work, it was unworldly. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And I remember the trackers walking up and down the road, and then the one tracker looking and being, "Oh, he went this way," and they literally did. They got right back on the track, walked right around this bush, and there's a warthog. Um, but it was just incredible to see how these trackers worked. And that's something you don't get to see over here at all. I mean, we track animals, but not like they do. Holy moly, that was awesome. And then, sharing that excitement of that warthog. And then I remember you saying, "Hey, let's get back in the hide. Maybe we can shoot something else." And I'm like, "Oh, we can do that?" I was like, "I didn't know." But it was incredible. It was awesome, man. It was so cool.
Yeah, man, the trackers here in Africa, the way they teach themselves to take tracks is where they're back in the villages, and they have to track the cattle each day because they have to walk for miles and miles to take the cattle or the goats to where they can get feed for them. So sometimes one of the animals will break away from the herd, and that's when they start to learn how to look at tracks. But what's amazing to see is how they know the difference between a wounded track and a normal track. That is crazy.
When it's so funny you say that because um one of the ant I can't remember who shot it, But I remember somebody shot an animal, and I remember the tracker going up, looking at that track and saying, good track, not gonna die. And I'm like, huh? And I remember listening and saying again, like you said, they know between a wounded track and a track that's gonna live. It blows my mind. It's just it blows my mind. I mean, that's just wild. That's so wild.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, it
crazy.
was awesome.
But that's why we have these guys, and we really appreciate the work they put in, because let's say you shoot a $3,000 or $4,000 animal or $8,000 animal, we need to track it, and it's amazing to see these guys work. It's insane.
It's awesome. It is. It's incredible. It so is. It's awesome, man.
So, buddy, tell me, where did your hunting career start, and take me through that.
Um, so my hunting started way, 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 way long ago. Um, I was probably 14 or 15 years old. I was a Navy brat. So my mother and father, um, we had moved all over. He got shipped to different places, being in the Navy, and we finally got stationed down in Charleston, South Carolina. Um, while we were down in Charleston, I remember um my parents, when they weren't at the house, me and my younger brother Sean, we would just go through everything in the house. We were young, dumb, didn't know any better. And I remember finding my mom's 20 gauge Ithaca in her closet. Um and I remember taking it out, and it was in a case, and it was unloaded. Um but I remember we had it out, and they had walked in on us. And I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I freaked out. And what was incredible was my dad, instead of yelling at us, instead of saying, oh, don't do that again, blah, blah, he goes, you know what? You know what's here? He goes, I'm gonna teach you the proper way to handle this weapon. I'm gonna teach you how to make it safe. I'm gonna teach you how to shoot it and how to be safe with this weapon. And that's how it started. Honestly, to this day, if he didn't do that, I think I'd have so much regression against weapons, saying, "Oh, you know what? These people don't want me to touch them." Blah blah blah. But he didn't. He literally took me out, my brother out, and said, "You know what? There's no point in hiding it. I'm going to teach you the proper way to handle this weapon, and let's go from there." And then that's where it started. Um, so it was probably a year after that. My father, who was in the Navy, we found out they had roughly 2,000, 3,000 acres on the Naval Weapons Station that you can deer hunt. So, South Carolina, and pretty much anywhere in the United States you have to go, you have to get a hunter education certificate. Okay. So my dad signed me and my brother up for this hunter education course. So we took this hunter education course. And it really started from there. Um, I remember our neighbor uh, owned like 12 acres down in South Carolina. And my dad had talked to him, and we had talked to him. And he goes, I'll let you guys go up to the property, deer hunt, but I want an adult with you. So I'm like, okay. So we go up there. The first couple of times, I can't remember if it was my mom or a neighbor that went with us. But after a couple of times, I think I was 16 then, and my brother was 13. They started letting us go up there by ourselves. And I'll never forget, our deer hunting lives started out, and that's what we hunted, was deer, whitetail deer down in South Carolina. We didn't know anything about any other type of species to hunt. We didn't know anything about turkeys or rabbits or nothing. Um, I remember me and my brother going up to this property, and we would walk in the woods for 5-10 minutes, sit down, not see anything. Okay, there ain't anything here. We get up and go somewhere else, sit back down, and I'd go out to the truck while he sat, and then we just did that back and forth. And, it was just memories that started out as had no clue what we were doing, to progressing every year to where now, I take kids out now and get them on their first animals. Um, but no, that's how it started for me. I was 16, and I started out not knowing anything about anything, and it's just every day learning and learning and learning and learning. Um, to even today, I still learn till today. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something new. Um, but I am so glad that my father, and he's my dad is the one that started it all by not yelling at us, by going out and saying, you know what, I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm going to show you the proper way to use it and the safe way to use this weapon. So
Yeah.
my hunting in the industry started.
Now, I think that was the key factor that played a big role in how you saw everything. If your dad reacted in the way shouting at you and say, "What are you doing? Leave this alone," you would have had a completely different experience towards it. And he actually embraced this moment to tell you guys, "Okay, let me show you how it works." And I think that got your attention even more, that you wanted to find out more how it works and all this kind of stuff. But that is like you mentioned, that your dad played a very big role in bringing you guys up in the right way.
Yeah, it was that. I didn't know this for probably and maybe I did. I don't remember it. Maybe my brother Sean probably does. Um, my mother, I remember she lived in Western New York, where I live now. I live in Western New York. I live right by Buffalo, New York. Um, my mom used to deer hunt when she was a teenager up here. Um, and I can't remember if she was like 18 when she actually had bought that gun. It was an Ithaca deer slayer. Um, I remember I know she killed a deer with it. But I don't know if she'd ever killed anything after that. After that, I think that's when we started to do all the moving and stuff like that. And I don't think she ever used that gun after that. Um, so my mom had actually shot a deer with that gun.
That's
Um,
crazy.
that it's a 20 gauge. They said that gun is probably now 50 years old. And it is sitting in my gun case in my man cave right now.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. So that gun was passed down to me and will be passed down to my son. Um, so yeah, it kind of everything lined up to where it was like, okay, yeah, I think the outdoors thing might be something to get into, you know. And then you do once you literally start, you know, going out every day, and like the weapon station, when we used to hunt the weapon station, um, you would meet a lot of people that was in the service that deer hunted also, and you would learn things from them. I mean, you would learn a lot from them guys down there, and they started teaching us a lot. Um, there's no doubt that the roles that we have as far as the outdoors and hunting, we didn't learn everything on our own. I mean, there was a lot of stuff where a lot of people had showed us the way, and we just kind of sucked that in and just took it for knowledge and just started gaining more knowledge as we got older.
Can you remember your first successful hunt and the lessons you learned out of it?
Yeah, oh yeah, I could tell you I could tell you I still so the very first animal I ever shot was a white-tailed deer. Um, I, maybe it was first big game animal was a white-tailed deer. Um, but no, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 16 when I shot my first deer. Um, I remember so South Carolina, um, you can actually run dogs for deer. So what we would do is we would block off a section of woods with standards, what they call standards, all the way around this block of woods, and then we would throw dogs in there. The dogs would pick up on a scent, on a deer scent, and they would jump that deer. Then deer would run, and then it would run out of the block. And if it ran the block, you shot the deer. And I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I'm sitting on this road, and they're running this deer behind me, and it was just me and another guy on the edge of this woods, and I'm sitting there, and I look up, and the deer busted out of the tree line, and it's you got to be super careful because you do have other hunters there. But this deer busted out of the tree line, ran as soon as she hit the road. I pulled up and fired. I fired 3 shots. Like I said, I'll never forget it. The deer runs off and goes into another block of woods. And we're sitting there, and one of the head game wardens comes up. Did you guys shoot? Did you shoot? I was like, yeah. The other gentleman come up, and to this day, I have no idea who he was. And he looks at the head game warden and goes, he definitely hit her. There's no doubt he definitely hit her. Now, me, the first deer I ever shot at in my life, I had no clue. No idea if I ever hit her, nothing. But I remember we're sitting there listening to the dogs. The dogs finally cross, and they go on the other side of the block of woods, and they shut right up. They just shut right up. And the game warden looks at me and goes, congratulations, you just killed your first deer. And I'm like, huh? They didn't see it, nothing. I'm like, no, how do you know this? Again, had no clue. He goes, do you hear the dogs barking? And I'm like, no. He goes, congratulations, you just killed your first deer. So we walked over there. We walked in the woods, and there she was. I can tell you to this day, she was 72 pounds, and I still have the hide in my man cave from that deer.
That's awesome.
So that was the first big game animal that I ever shot when I was 16 years old. Was a 72-pound doe. Yep.
You can remember everything what happened to the detail, and I think that's what we as hunters value of each hunt. We've got a story to tell. It's a memory that like it fries into our brain. It's something we can't get rid of. So that's why it means so much to us.
It's I've been blessed. I have been blessed to harvest the animals I've harvested in my lifetime. But I can tell you, each animal that I have shot, I can remember. That's how much it means to me. I can tell you in detail, probably mostly every animal, big game animal that I've ever shot. Now small game, probably not. Even birds. I mean, I've shot a lot of pheasants, a lot of quail, but yeah, probably. But my big game animals, absolutely. That was something that I miss while I'm up here, and we can get into it later in the podcast. But I miss hunting with my brothers. We get to do it every so often, like we go into Montana in April, for a turkey hunt. But I miss hunting with my brothers. Now, like when I lived in South Carolina growing up, I was with my younger brother Sean.
Yeah.
My older brother, he was on his own up in Pennsylvania. But me and him would hunt together all the time. All the time. So most of all my memories, my early hunting memories, are with my younger brother. And those memories were awesome. I remember my brother Sean, he had a particular stand that he told me I could hunt that had some does coming in, but he literally goes, there's a little spike that's coming in. Please don't shoot him. Please don't shoot. So I literally get in the stand, and within 15 minutes I see a deer. I I shoot this deer expecting it to be a doe, and it turned out to be the spike. So till this day, he still brings it up till this day. So when he's watching this, which I'm sure he will, I'm sorry, Sean, for shooting that spike. But no, it's good memories that we have, as a kid. I remember, like I said, growing up down there, it was me and him. It was us two learning how to hunt. Me and him caught each other a lot about hunting. Um, and one of the best years, like I said, both of us had shot beautiful 8 points.
Yeah.
The very first 8 points we had ever killed in our lifetimes. And I'll never forget, my mom actually paid to get both of them deer mounted for us. Took them to the taxidermist to get them mounted, which back in that day, let me tell you, was a lot cheaper than what it is now.
Yeah.
Uh, I think if I can remember, it was like $250, something like that. You get a shoulder mount done for a whitetail. Now they're $700-800. Yeah. So it's well, it tells you how old I am and how long ago this was. But no, we still to this day, like I said, that spike and that 8 point are still in my room. Um, I have literally saved every buck that I've ever shot ever in my lifetime. I have saved the horns to. Um, it's upwards of 50-60 bucks I think I've shot now. But I have every single rack from every single buck that I've ever shot.
That's awesome, man.
Including some big ones on the wall that I've been blessed to kill over my career. But no, yeah, that back in the days, I mean, it was amazing to have my brother there to share in the experience that we both got to share. And and like we did, we taught each other. Like I said, down south, you learn. Um, you have to learn how to hunt down there because the temperature gets so hot. Now it's not like Africa where you have water holes and stuff like that. And nothing against that. I'm just saying down south, it's like swamp.
Yeah.
And when it's August or September and it's almost 100 degrees outside, animals don't like to move. So you have to learn how to hunt these water sources and these food sources, because if you don't, you'll never be successful. And that's something that me and my brother taught ourselves over the years is how to hunt food sources, how to hunt water sources, and how to hunt animals in the environment that they're in. Um, and we taught ourselves over the years that how to find sign, how to find those water sources and those food sources to make ourselves successful. And I can tell you, it's worked. Um, even my brother, and much as it pains me to say this, he's probably the best hunter in our family. Um, he truly is. He is a now hands down probably one of the best hunters that I've ever known. Um, it's because he takes the time to go in there, and he still lives in South Carolina, but he does. He takes the time to go in there, scout everything out. Um, and he's done it for so long that he's just good at it, and he really is. So I got to give him a lot of credit. And he's helped me over the years. Both my brothers have, and that's a good thing about having brothers that do this. Um, we have, there might be a situation to where I'm like what happened this year, with my gun season. First year and since probably 2010, I'd say, that I never shot a deer during gun season. Um, it was just I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why. In an area that I had literally seen deer every day. Um, it was weird. So I called on them for their expertise to figure out what was going on. Um, and they helped me get on deer. Um, Now it didn't harvest one, but they helped me get on deer. But that's my early experiences with my brother. They were truly amazing. They really were.
I wish I had a brother that I could share all my hunts with, and or maybe a younger brother that can do most of the heavy lifting and stuff like that. But now I've seen a lot of your posts on social media about your brother, and you guys congratulate each other a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that's afraid to get on the airplane, so you have to hit him over the head and chuck him there at the back and bring him over here to Africa so he can hunt with us.
So we're actually heading to Montana in April, the end of April, for a turkey hunt. We're going after our Grand Slam. So I know people here know. So the United States, there's 4 subspecies of turkeys to get your Grand Slam. Is the Osceola, the Eastern, the Rio, and the Merriam. We've all killed our Easterns. So now we're going after part 2 of our Grand Slam, and that's the Merriam. So we're heading to Montana. I when we booked our flights, I had to help him book the flights because me and him fly from different cities, but we're landing in the same city, in Dallas. So I got it to where me and him are on the same plane, sitting right beside each other to fly into Billings, Montana, and on the way back. But he's nervous about flying. But I mean, a lot of people are, especially if you don't do it very often. Now, one thing I will tell you about going to South Africa is 16 hours in a plane is a long time.
Yeah, I had the privilege of flying Delta One the other day, man. That's a whole different experience. But now I'm spoiled because now that's all I want to fly. So, but yeah, I get everybody's not a comfortable flyer like I am. But I told your brother that he must take like 3 glasses of wine and take a NyQuil or something. He'll be fine for those 16 hours.
Well, see, and a lot of people don't know that, and I tell a lot of people that too. It's like we even when I went to Africa, like it's so weird because like I've been on a lot of flights, but you're never on a flight where you leave at like 8 o'clock at night, and the first thing they do is feed you alcohol if you want alcohol and dinner, and then literally by 10 o'clock they turn all the lights off in the plane because they want you to sleep, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I've never done this before. I was like, this is pretty wild. I was like, all right. Um, but if your adrenaline is so pumped, especially for me, especially when I went over to Africa for the first time. My adrenaline was so high from going to a new continent, new anything, new area that I wasn't sleeping much. And that 16-hour flight literally felt like 2 hours to me.
Yeah.
It really did. It was you're up and down before you ever knew it. But yeah, for some people it's nerve-wracking. It can be. Um, but I think what would help him is something like, if I went with him, or something like that. But that would be awesome. It'd be awesome. Have my brothers over there. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, Sean, you just got your invite to come and hunt with me and Jason in South Africa, so make a plan.
There you go.
So, buddy, you've obviously hunted here in Africa and you've done a lot of hunting there in the States. What is the how can I say the typical differences that you notice about hunting in the USA and here in Africa?
Typical difference from what I experienced, I'm going to tell you. So, hunting in Africa, compared to the United States, from my experience, hunting in Africa, it's not hard. Okay, um, when you're sitting in a hide at a water hole, these animals are definitely going to come to it. There's no doubt about that. Now, the hard part is if you and I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but if you're on a budget when you go to Africa, it can be hard. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a beautiful sable come in or a kudu bull come in, and you don't have you have to sit there and watch them. I did that. I had an absolute monster sable in front of me. And I'm just staring at this thing like, oh yeah, I can't shoot him. I can't see him. Where in the United States, it's hard. I mean, if you don't have land that you can put water sources in, or if you don't have water sources, or you can put food plots in, you have to hunt, and you got to hunt hard. Even when we go, like we do a lot of bear hunts. In all of our bear hunts we do in Canada. We go to New Brunswick every once in a while, but we go to Canada, Ontario also. Even up there, they bait for bears. And the reason if they do that is because that environment up there is so thick, that if you didn't, you would never see them. You just wouldn't. I can tell you just from bear hunting in different areas that I bear hunted, um, you don't hear them and you don't see them until they're literally standing right in front of you. Um, but if you didn't bait up there, you would never ever see them. So there are differences depending on where you go. Terrain. Like where I live here, like going to South Africa, um, you're probably not going to see snow. I mean, even if you go in their wintertime, you're probably not going to see snow. We went in May, um, which is their fall going into winter, if I'm right, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, and it was 80s while we were there. It was absolutely gorgeous. But like up where I hunt here in Western New York, it started snowing the second week of November and it hasn't stopped. Um, like I can look out my window right now and there's probably 8 inches of snow on the ground right now. Um, Tuesday here, the high is supposed to be like 5 degrees.
Sure.
With a wind chill of like negative 30. Um, but when you hunt in environments like that, in which we do, if you're not prepared for it, it's going to bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
You the differences there's not a lot of differences as far as what you prep for, as far as your hunting. Yes, the environment that you have to hunt in between different areas is absolutely different. Down in Africa, you can wear a light shirt with light camo pants, boots. Where here, if I'm hunting in my deer season in November and even in May and turkey season, I have videos of me hunting the third week of May for turkeys in snow. Um, so it's just different environments you have to deal with. Now the equipment that you use it can be different depending on the animal that you're going after. Here in the States, um, the biggest game animal we have here is either you're talking about moose or elk, or even big bears like a grizzly or brown bear. Um, I personally would never go after those animals with a gun. That's just not me. I am a bow hunter at heart. That is just who I am. Um, but you have to have the right equipment. Now, hunting a whitetail, you don't need the equipment that you're going to hunt an elk with. You're going to have to step up if you want to hunt an animal that big. Same with South Africa. You can go to South Africa, and you can use equipment that can kill a 150 pound warthog or 100 pound impala. But if you want to kill a kudu or you want to kill a Cape buffalo, you're going to need something that's prepared for those animals. Um, you're going to have 500-600 grain arrow for if you're going with an arrow, or heavier, a 250 grain broadhead. Weapons, guns. I use a 30-06 during gun season here if I use a gun. Where a lot of people use a 308 or a 300 Win Mag, depending on what type of animal they're shooting. So yeah, so different areas, absolutely. The equipment that you have is going to be different. Um, there's no doubt about it. The game animals that you hunt, um, it's seeing different animals that you've never seen before is truly amazing to me. Um, here in the States, you kind of get, I won't say selfish about what you have. Um, but there's only a certain amount of animals that you can see here. Um, that's why traveling to Ontario or New Brunswick or even going to Africa or even Newfoundland, um, stuff like that, or New Zealand for like a red stag hunt, or Australia for the water buffalo and stuff like that. To see the different types of animals is what intrigues a lot of us as hunters. Um, it does for me, and I know it does for my brothers. I can tell you that, and I know it does for you as well.
Yeah.
To see different species of animals that you only probably would see on TV is truly an experience of its own. Um, South Africa to me was eye opening. Not only for the equipment that I had to bring, because I'd never hunted anything bigger than a white-tailed deer. I hunted black bears a couple times, but that setup is pretty much what you would hunt for a whitetail. But when I went to South Africa for the first time, my whole bow setup changed completely.
Yeah.
I went from probably like a 300 grain arrow, 350 grain arrow, to well over probably 550 grain arrow. Only because of the species that I was hunting while I was down there. So yeah, the differences, I mean, there's a lot of differences. But the stuff that you learn here in the States, you can apply anywhere that you hunt in the world.
Yeah, and that's what I love to hunt in different countries. Obviously, to see the different species you don't see every day is like a dream come true for me, because sitting in Africa, I'm used to seeing 42 species plus when you go out hunting, but I don't see an elk, or I don't see a whitetail, or I don't see a hog, or I don't see a turkey or a mule deer or any of those animals, you know. So that's why when I'm that side, I'm like a kid before Christmas, like, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? You know. But that's why I love hunting in different countries. Obviously, like you mentioned, is to experience that culture, to experience that hunting style, all of that. It forms part of the journey, that why we go on those hunts.
And you know, and that's the other part about it is the experience and the journey of seeing stuff that you'd never ever see. I can tell you just from here to going like to New Brunswick or Ontario, the environment is completely different. With their pines they have up north, the landscape is just incredible up there. The streams, crystal clear streams up there where we hunt, it's absolutely gorgeous. Like the cultures, like when I went to South Africa, um, just to see the different people and how they live down there, and I'll never forget. I am so glad we had people from South Africa with us when we got off the plane, because when we got on, there's an interstate. I'm assuming that's what you guys call it, is an interstate with toll roads. And I'll never forget, we stopped at a gas station, and I have pictures of it. Seeing these big trucks filled to the top with luggage and furniture and all this other stuff. And I'm looking at this thing like, what is going on here? What is that? And they're like, oh, they move them from one place to another, and they just keep going back and forth. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, I've never seen anything like it, but that's neat. You know. And I remember we get to the first toll booth, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, there's like 40 people out here with AK-47s. I'm like, is that normal? I was like, okay. I was like, all right. But no, I guess it is. I mean, it's just a part of you guys' culture down there that, you know. But then seeing, we drove up when we were leaving, so, you know, just to see different things. Like I remember when we left camp, we drove through this, and I couldn't tell you the town that we drove through, but it was a little town. And like I said, you see all these things on TV, but you never get to experience it in real life. And I remember seeing the ladies walking with the big bowls on their head, or the big bags of, you know, rice or whatever they were on their head, and seeing the mules carry stuff down the road. You never experience stuff like that over here, and that was a culture shock for me. It was truly amazing to see. Another thing that I noticed too while I was over there is nobody owns a full-size truck.
Back here, we call them a bucky.
Yeah. No, it was so funny because I was mentioning it the other day. I was like, yeah, there's one thing I remember specific about Africa is not one full-size truck you'll ever see over there. Where here, like in my parking lot at work, there's 50 of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things you just never see over there. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, that's the other part of the experience is seeing something new for the first time. Like, I've never been to Montana. When we go to Montana, just even if we don't harvest anything, even if we don't shoot a turkey while we're out there, to experience something new is beyond amazing for me. Um, that's what I enjoy most. And now harvesting an animal, yeah, that's the cherry. That's the cherry on the cake But to experience new cultures or new landscapes, something different that I've never experienced ever in my life. That to me is truly what it's all about as far as us being outdoorsmen.
That's why I also hunt. It's to experience everything around that hunt. Obviously, going to a different country, learning what all their laws are about is one part of it. Then actually going to experience the hunt, the stuff that you've seen on videos and on TV, and then you realize, okay, now I'm doing it. That's like another thing that blows your mind. And then the next moment you put your hands on that animal, that's like the cherry on top, And that's why we love making videos about everything and sharing it, because not a lot of people get to experience those experiences like we do, But that's why I'm so thankful that you're part of Huntech Pro, man, and it has helped us to share those adventures, right across the world. Yeah, where I sit in South Africa, when I put up a post on my page, I don't know who sees it, but then I see Jason has reacted it. I see Jason has shared it. I think he commented on this stuff. So that's why I just appreciate all your support so much, man, because then that experience that I had gets shared with the rest of the world again.
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, we started out not knowing anything about each other, and it started out as just meeting each other. I remember the first time I ever met you in person. You were at the Bry?
Yeah.
Is that what right?
Bry.
I want to make sure I get this right. And I remember you came out and shook my hand. And then I remember you grabbed my luggage. And I'm like, okay. But that was the first time we met, and I was like, yeah, I think this guy's gonna be pretty cool, And each day we got to know each other a little more while we were over there. And it just grew into an amazing friendship that has lasted over the years now. And a friendship that's going to continue to last forever.
Yeah.
That's why, for me personally, that's why I do what I do as far as like sharing stuff and posting stuff. Is because you're truly a great guy and a good friend. And someone who deserves, the recognition for the hard work they put into this. And I have no issues with helping out as far as doing stuff like that for you, buddy.
And that means the world to me, But that's why I felt that I want to make you part of our pro staff team. So what does that mean to you?
It's so I can tell you it's humbling for me. It really is. So to be a part of something that to me I can see growing even bigger and bigger and bigger. With a company that I can tell you is truly genuine to who they are, which is these guys here. It's Huntech Pro, Johan Beulah. It means the world to me. I've been a part of other companies to where I think they try to take advantage of you. And that doesn't happen with you guys. You guys are truly who you are. Yes, you guys have a brand, but you guys are truly who you are. And to me, that's humbling. To be a part of that is amazing to me. To even be mentioned as a pro staff member for Huntech Pro is truly humbling, buddy. It really is.
Yeah, buddy, that's exactly why I made you pro staff, and that's why we appreciate your support so much. And your words mean so much to us, man. You know how much that actually means for us. So that's why we're also thankful to have you part of the team.
Yeah, man. No, it's, there's not a day that goes by that I don't talk about Huntech Pro or see something from Huntech Pro that I don't want to share. We talk about it all the time. I mean, even my brothers. I mean, you see my brother Sean. He's starting to get in the act now a little bit.
Yeah.
My brother doesn't have my other brother Jeremy. He doesn't do Facebook. So, but I can tell you without a doubt would be the same way that we are. I mean, we're genuine to the people that are truly good people, which you guys are. I mean, you truly are.
No, thanks, buddy. That means a lot.
To be honest, if you guys weren't good people, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation right now.
No, thank you,
We just
man.
wouldn't be.
That really,
So,
like I said, really means a lot to us.
absolutely, buddy.
So,
Absolutely, man.
so I'm here at the next section of our podcast. It's 10 questions for Jason. Are you ready?
We'll see.
Okay. Would you ever consider hunting in South Africa again?
Come on. You know the answer to that. So, to everybody who's watching and listening, I'm going to tell you right now. First off, if you've never been to South Africa, you need to go. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Not only you have to go, but you got to hunt with Huntech Pro. Book your hunt with Yo Hunt. 2, absolutely 100%. I will go back to South Africa. Absolutely.
Sweet.
I'll never forget the first, and not to prolong this, but the first morning I woke up in South Africa, I cried because it was so majestic and so beautiful. So yes, I would absolutely, and I will absolutely go back to South Africa.
Awesome. Next question. What will be your bucket list animal to hunt?
So are you talking about in South Africa or just in general?
Nah, you can make it in general or in South Africa. What, like, first thing that comes to mind, what would you love to hunt?
So I definitely want to go after red stag in New Zealand. That is a big bucket list animal for me. But South Africa, kudu bull, zebra, and possibly a bull giraffe.
Yeah.
All with a bow.
That's
all
awesome.
with a bow. But yeah, those South Africa, my big 3 would be definitely kudu bull, a nice kudu bull, probably 50+ inch kudu bull.
Yeah.
A beautiful zebra, and probably a bull giraffe. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. But this next question is almost similar. It says, what do you consider to be a once in a lifetime animal to hunt?
Probably the red stag in New Zealand. Only because I know I'm going back to South Africa again. So, but New Zealand, the red stag in New Zealand, to be honest with you, I don't know if I'll ever be able to go over there. I just don't know. And that's why I'd say that'd probably be a once in a lifetime animal for me, because to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd ever get to go over there. So.
Okay, so if I stopped outside your house now, told you that we are going hunting, what would you grab first and can't live without?
Well, I can't say my kid, but I'd grab my kids first and give them a hug. And then I try to make a note and tell my wife that I'm leaving. But no, the first thing that I couldn't leave without if I'm going on a hunting trip is my bow.
What is the most challenging hunt you have ever been on and why?
Actually, probably, to be honest with you, my bear hunt. I've been on 3 bear hunts and I've shot 1 bear. That is probably the hardest hunt that I've ever been on. It should be the easiest hunts, but my bad luck with bear hunting, it's hard. It really is. The hardest animal that I've ever had to try to shoot, was the blue wildebeest that I ended up shooting the last day of my hunt in South Africa. And the reason for that is because every single day while I was there, we tried to hunt a blue wildebeest, and every day we would get close and close and close and close and close, and just couldn't make it happen. Until the last day, we finally made it happen. So that was probably the hardest animal that I ever had to go after, because it wasn't like I hunted for a couple of days and then I hunted that animal hard to try to shoot him, and I finally did. So,
what is the most valuable lesson that you've learned from a hunting experience?
don't take anything for granted. I knew it was going to come up. Don't take anything for granted. And I'll tell you, that's because you don't know how short your life is. Um, I never take anything for granted, especially with the outdoors. I know this is God's creations that we are able to go out and harvest beautiful animals. And I don't take that for granted. Um, truly, truly don't take it for granted. Um, and be blessed every single day that you get to do something in the outdoors. For me, it's not even about hunting, killing an animal. It's not even about shooting an animal. It's about being out and just enjoying what God created for us to enjoy. There's no doubt about it. Um, I am so grateful uh, to be able to experience a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to experience. So for me, just don't take it for granted. Enjoy it.
What is your opinion of using technology in hunting, such as trail cameras and that kind of stuff?
So I personally use trail cameras, especially here in the States. There's some technology that I don't agree with. I think, and I'll get into this a little bit. Some of the technology I believe is more as far as a selling point than actually working. Um, I believe some of these products that some of these companies come out with, they're just trying to make a quick buck. Now saying that, there are some things that I truly do believe in, like trail cameras. Um, Trail cameras provide great information, especially for like my property. It gives me information of what kind of bucks I have on my property, what kind of deer population I have on my property, what kind of problem I have with my coyotes, which I have right now with my property. But it gives me really good intel. So there are some things that I really do believe that are good for the industry. But I do think there are some that are just gimmicks that people just want to make a quick buck on also.
Yeah. What is your favorite hunting season?
It's definitely deer season. Yeah. My archery season for my whitetails is truly my passion. Now I love going on my other hunts, my big game hunts. But my whitetails and archery, especially the end of October, beginning of November, when that fall season's coming in to that winter season, and my bucks start really rutting. There's nothing like it. When you have a big mature animal like a whitetail, and you with the bow in your hand, and you fool that animal to getting within it, distance to take make a good shot on it. Yeah, it's my archery whitetail season, no doubt.
That's awesome. What was the most unique or unusual animal you've ever hunted, and what was the experience like?
Um, so I've shot. Now this may sound bad, but years and years ago, me and my brother Sean, and even my brother Jeremy, we've hunted in some places that were fenced in areas. Um, which, yeah, it's kind of, yeah. But when you don't ever see these animals like a sheep or Texas doll sheep or Sitka deer, stuff like that. When you're young, you got honey, you just, yeah, you do stupid things. But I've shot some cool animals. I've shot Texas doll sheep. I've shot Sitka bucks. Um, but as far as like animals that I've harvested that I never thought I'd get to harvest, the animals I shot in Africa. The first afternoon when I shot my Gems buck, um, I I never ever in my life thought I'd ever shoot something like that ever, ever. Every animal I shot in Africa, I never ever thought I'd ever shoot in Africa. Um, so yeah, I could tell you it was probably every animal I shot in Africa, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay, and then the last question: how do you handle the disappointment of not getting a successful hunt, and what did you learn from those experiences?
So to me, a successful hunt doesn't mean you have to kill an animal. Um, you know, Unsuccessful. I don't know if there is an unsuccessful hunt. I mean, yeah, you go on hunts and sometimes you're not going to harvest an animal. Do you get disappointed? Yeah. I mean, if you spend $2,000-3,000 to go hunt a particular animal and you don't shoot that animal, yeah, there's going to be some disappointment in it. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But you got to remember, you got to remember the experience you had. Um, that for me kind of makes up for me not harvesting an animal if I go on a trip. Um, there's always going to be disappointment in not shooting an animal. There just is. It's our human nature, just to be disappointed if we don't, if we're after a particular species or a particular animal. Like if I'm after a big whitetail on my property and I don't get him, there's going to be some disappointment. No, there's no
Yeah.
doubt about that. But what you learn from it is stay patient, stay after it. Um, it might not be good this year, but the following year, it might be amazing. This week might not be a good week. I follow him. Like week might be amazing. Um, that's why you take these little things as far as like a little bit of disappointment, and maybe if you shot and missed an animal that you were hunting, you know, be glad that you got the opportunity to take that shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always going to be disappointment, but there's always lessons to be learned from your disappointment. There's always lessons to be learned if you miss an animal, if you don't get to shoot an animal. There's always lessons to learn. So yeah, there's disappointment, but you always can learn from your disappointments. Absolutely.
No, that's great wisdom that you shared there with us. I mean, I think that's how I've learned throughout the years is if when to take a shot, when not to take a shot. Okay, this happened on my previous shot. I'm not going to take that chance again. Or maybe I've got this chance to do it now. Let's try it out. But that's why we learn out of these experiences and just to be better people at the end of the day. I 100% believe that the outdoor industry creates a stronger human being that if you're not in it, because it's more challenges that we get to face while we hunt and how we have to adapt with our emotions on that hunt. So that will prepare us to, handle life differently, maybe, depending on what curveball life will throw at you.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we get to experience a lot of things that a lot of people don't. There's no doubt about it. Um, we get to experience, things that most people don't get to experience. I try to get as many people involved in the outdoors as possible, not just to shoot an animal, but to experience nature that we get to experience. I can tell you, there are countless days where I get in a stand and I just sit there and enjoy watching nature. Just enjoy watching the animals do what they do naturally. When you see something that you've never seen before, like I heard a giraffe coming into a water hole, or you have like my property, a mink come running around your stand. Stuff you just don't ever see. Watch an owl or a hawk land in the branch above your head, which I have this year. Owl landed literally right in the branch above my head.
That's cool.
But watch him go and hunt and do this stuff. It's not always about killing an animal, but enjoying the experience of what God created for us in the outdoors. I wish truly everybody got to experience what we do. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It really is. It's truly an honor to do what we do. It really is.
Barry, just thank you for taking the time and sharing part of your life with me on this podcast episode. That's why I said why I want to create the podcast is to share everybody's stories and share more of their lifestyle with the people out there. And thank you again for all the support you've been giving for us for Huntech Pro and helping us it grow that side of the world. It's like I mentioned before, your support means the world to us. So just thank you again for that, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, buddy. And I'm always here to help. So anything you ever need, all you gotta do is reach out. You know that. We talk all the time. But no, seriously, yeah. I mean, you guys are truly amazing, and that's what we're here for, is to help each other out and grow each other. And if my job here is to help you grow and you will grow Huntech Pro, that's what I'm gonna help do. So
No, thank you, brother. We appreciate that.
absolutely, buddy.
Guys, we thank you for tuning in today's podcast. I'm going to post a few links of Jason in the description if you guys would like to follow him and his adventures. And make sure that you guys stay tuned and subscribe to all our podcasts platforms out there so that you'll be notified when we drop the next podcast. Thank you again for joining in today, and we hope you enjoyed the episode.